Hi, this is Yobi1 checking in, and back to answer some more of you guys' questions. So, yet again, thanks guys for sending your questions. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Yobi1, and you guys can keep posting video or comment responses on YouTube, and I'll make sure to try to get to them. But Twitter is a good way if you guys want immediate answers. So this is next question is coming up from Sari Bichan, and they ask, I wanted to ask, can you describe for me the life in Japan as a student? I'm going there for exchange for 1 year. What I mean describe, I mean how expensive is this kind of living, Japanese people in general, etc. So basically, I've already kind of made a video about the expenses and stuff. So that's on the FYI videos in one of my videos. I'll just put a link down here. But I've never really described to what life was like as a student. Um, a lot of people go to Japan in different ways. They go as an English teacher, they go traveling. I've had friends that have gone there to learn martial arts, like fighting and stuff. But life as a student is kind of interesting, I think. I just found it because you're having to study Japanese a lot. If you're going to study Japanese like I did, and you're kind of automatically immersed with Japanese people your age. So I can't really imagine how it is for somebody who's working there because you're just forced to work with people that aren't really close to your age or not in that kind of social environment. But being a student in Japan was kind of cool. I have to say it's a lot different from university here, just because specifically the university I went to, a lot of the times the people were just chilling. It seemed like school was just a place for them to gather and meet. Their classes, like people would just go scan in with their ID cards and then just kind of roll out, or they would just be hanging out smoking in the schoolyard. But for me, being a student was kind of different because I was there for a purpose to study Japanese. So the first 6 months, I focused a lot on just studying Japanese every day. I wanted to become fluent. I wanted to become the best Japanese speaker ever. So I just focused on studying and trying to do well. And then after a few months, I kind of was just more about the experience, about using the Japanese, about hanging out with my friends and stuff. So, like, it wasn't too hard, I would say, this level of school. It would be harder if you're going there for grad studies or something more serious than just studying Japanese. But it was a cool experience for sure. I just remember a lot of the times my studying was just watching anime or watching manga or just using the things that I learned in class. So that was kind of cool as life as a student. And you kind of have to kind of find a balance in your life, right? Like you have to kind of, if you can work, do some work. Because if you're just at school, it won't be enough, right? But it's a good platform to meet a lot of people, meet a lot of friends. Um, you know, the Japanese people in general were super nice. That's where I met like all my friends. They were really nice at trying to help me study Japanese and stuff, which was cool. I really appreciate that. Um, what other things can I say? Well, yeah, there's some different things that you have to know. Like for example, here, I feel like you can't really get away with the same things in Japan. Like you have to be a lot more respectful of the senseis. The senseis do demand a lot more, but it depends on the sensei yet again. Like I had tons of different teachers. I think I had like 8 different Japanese teachers that I were there. We had a different Japanese teacher for speaking, different Japanese teacher for reading, different Japanese teacher for kanji. The school was trying to give us a lot of different exposure to different types of Japanese, different people. So we would, kind of adapt and learn. So we're just not with one sensei. So it was a good experience, and I had a really cool sensei named Saito Sensei. He was kind of like a 35-year-old Japanese guy, and he was kind of funny. He was a really cool teacher, and he was really the closest one that we can like relate to because I guess he was one of the youngest ones. But he was also one of the best teachers, I would say. He just made class fun. He made it so like we were joking around, or we would just draw manga on the boards and like kind of joke but learn Japanese at the same time. There were some other teachers that were way stricter, some older senseis, like Fujimori sensei. She would always be like, you have to study, you have to do your homework, you have to do this, you have to pay attention in class, you have to, do like the more serious kind of studying. She was a lot stricter grading and things like that. But because of that experience, I feel like we were able to learn Japanese more. Other senseis were kind of like there was one sensei that was like super surprised if we could even just say like konnichiwa or something. She'd be like, oh, sugoi, sugoi, jozu, 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 if we would just say like the simplest thing. So it was a good mix. It was a good, interesting life there being a student. Comparing it to maybe Japanese class in America or Canada for where I live, I love my Japanese teacher in Canada. She's one of the best teachers that I've ever had, for sure. She inspired me and gave me the tools that I needed to be able to learn Japanese, I think, and do well in Japan actually, because that was a whole other experience. For example, at my school, when you go to Japan, you'll typically have to do a placement test when you're first getting ready to go into school, so they can place you accordingly in your class. And everybody was always stressing about the placement test. They were always like, oh, like if I'm not in level 2, if I'm not in level 3, it means my Japanese sucks. Well, no, it doesn't. It just means when you're taking a test, that's what level you are, but it doesn't mean that it's representative of what you can speak. So I thought people kind of stressed too much about that. They stressed a lot about the classes, like, oh, like, school is important. It's important to learn the stuff in the class, but I think the more important thing is to take what you're learning in that class and apply it outside of the class for sure. Like, I had friends that would just study and just read and just focus on acing a test for school, and then at the same time they missed out on all the experience of just living life in Japan. So you got to find that balance as a student. You can't just focus solely on the studying. Coming from my experience, I'll say focusing solely on studying and not actually using it is a big mistake. And I have Tikio-san, for example, who was a good inspiration for that. He let me kind of know that you have to use it every day. Otherwise, what's the point? You have to. People some people say you shouldn't watch manga or you shouldn't read manga or you shouldn't watch anime because it's gonna not give you like proper exposure. But at the same time, that's what helped me learn. That's what I would take. Let's see. I would take one of these good old Naruto mangas, and I would be reading the stuff, and I'd be practicing the kanji. I would like, learning the grammar and stuff. And this is something that you're interested in if it's something that you like, and it makes it easier to study than just reading the text in the class about what colors you like or traveling to Fujisan. Like that stuff is good practice, but this is where you get your exercise, right? Especially watching anime. Like that was my homework, man. I remember one weekend I was like really like getting ready for a test, and I wanted to immerse myself in Japanese. So I spent one whole weekend watching all of Gundam Seed, all of Gundam Seed Destiny, and all of Gundam Wing for like within a 3-day span. I did nothing but watch it, and I was so immersed in Japanese. And because I've seen it before, and then I watched it without subtitles, it was really, really good practice. I felt like I was like able to understand the story, but I was able to connect it with what I knew the story was about and the grammar, and it was really working. It was clicking, and it was like a huge practice. And I found that's a really good way for me to practice is watching stuff that I'm used to watching, like watching. One of my baseline tests is watching Princess Mononoke, and I think I've said that before. But I would watch Princess Mononoke, and I know what Princess Mononoke is about because I've seen it in English. And then because of every time I would learn more Japanese, I would go listen and see what more can I understand, and that was a really good exposure for that. On the other side of things, it was kind of tough sometimes too because you're not making income really as a student, so you kind of have to work and do things the way that you can do it. Tutoring English was great. I had a great opportunity. I got to teach English conversation at the university I was at, and that was like the best, man. That was like meeting people that were really interested in studying English, and even French actually, and helping them out, and that language exchange made some like pretty cool bonds, and I still remember those students that I had in that class, and I still have them on Facebook, and now I see they're like studying in Australia and they're doing cool things like that. It's a kind of cool connection that you feel with people all over the world. If you kind of help them study English and they kind of help you study Japanese, and hopefully one day we'll all meet up again in Nagoya and we'll have a good nama beer, right guys? But life as a student in Japan is pretty dope, but you gotta seize it, man. You gotta do what you can. You can't be one of those people that just goes and then gets stuck in that English bubble. I can't say that enough. Don't get stuck in that English bubble. It's gonna suck sometimes, for sure. Like there's a lot of times where I was depressed and I was down. I was just like sad because, you know, I kind of see it as like you're leaving your life, and your life has like so many levels. You have school, you have your friends, you have your family, you have work life, and then when you go to study in Japan, you kind of lose all of those, and all you have is a study. All you have is a school life. You're gonna have to build up all your life back to being like a fulfilling life. So there's a lot of times when you're kind of going to be down, but you got to remember that there's those up times too, and you got to just wait for them to average out and balance out, because it's not all sunshine and lollipops, but at the same time it's not all dark alleys and thunderstorms and stuff, right? So you got to make the most of it, and you'll get in from the experience what you put in. So if you guys want to study in Japan, For sure, being a student is a dope experience for sure. So I can't recommend it enough. I think, what else can I describe about life? Expensive, like that's just depending on your, you know, I already talked about that. Japan is expensive, but as a student, you know, if you're going as an exchange student, your dorm is going to be cheaper. Your insurance might be a little bit cheaper. The school really looks out for you. Nagoya Gakuin really looked out for us students, and they helped us out as much as they can. Um, like I remember this one time I accidentally broke a wall in between my balcony and my friend's balcony. I had a Spider-Man mask on and I was trying to climb it like a joke. And I accidentally kicked a hole through the wall because their breakaway walls really easy in Japan. And I remember it was gonna cost like $500 to fix it, and I was so broke at that time. And I just told the sensei like, it's gonna be like I can't pay for it. I'm just broke. And they just said don't worry, and they took care of it for me, and that was some of the kindness that I saw there. So that was Shibata Sensei. Thank you, Shibata Sensei. I don't know if he paid out of his pocket or what, but they fixed it for us, and that was a really big thank you. So yeah, I don't know what else do you guys want to know about being a student in Japan. Um, I can try to ask, but if you ask more specific questions, maybe I can give you some better answers. But based on my experience, that's what I felt like being a student like is in Japan. It's gonna be ups, there's gonna be downs, but you guys gotta have that balance. You gotta look at building those levels of your life, school, friends, romance, whatever, working life. You gotta do, and it's on you to build that. So thanks again, guys. If you want ask any more questions, you can do it at my Twitter at Yobi1, or you can post a comment, post a video response too. It'd be nice to see some of you guys post a video response because that'd be kind of cool to get to see you guys and actually talk back and forth. So feel free to do so, and thanks as always for watching. 皆さん、あざす。じゃあね。よろしく。ほら。